There's a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of portals that are kind of like Swiss cheesed all over the place, all over the planet. If you're not careful, you go through a certain place, you'll disappear and you go somewhere else.
Well,
or you may go.
That could account for how many people have disappeared.
Yeah, tell me about
in the national forest, not even in our country. You know, I've been researching. Even in Canada, they have a huge amount of people. You know, went out hiking and went camping, and guess what? Somebody disappeared. Then they sent out a crew to go out and search and rescue. And that's what I find so interesting too is that they'll send out a search and rescue, but they don't really spend many days doing it. I'm like 1 or 2 days, and then they pretty much call it off. And it's just like they don't want to really pursue it. And it's funny, in the national forest system, from the 1900s to I think back about 5 years ago, it was like 14,000 people went out in the woods and disappeared. Now, some of them are going to die. Some of them are going to get shot by other hunters. Some of them might fall in a mine shaft, for example, or fall into something or fall off a cliff, and that's the end of them. But not 14,000 people. That something is weird there. And you talk about portals. I do believe there's portals all over the earth. I mean, and you can't see one. You're just going to be tripping around on a trail, or you're going to be in an airplane going through, the triangle, and all of a sudden you disappear.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, That's it. You go for another time,
Yep. I completely believe. I have some friends who went down in Oregon, and they had this one particular gentleman that I know. I'm not going to repeat his name or anything like that. Just basically what was seen was in that particular area, a number of campers saw a pterodactyl flying around. Okay, so could this possibly have been a time portal where something just accidentally flew through it from another time and showed up here? Who knows? And these are pretty credible people that were saying this, and it wasn't a drone that looked like a pterodactyl. It was too remote. It was a remote area in Oregon somewhere. Okay, so I had no reason to dismiss the claim. But these happen, and I'm losing the train of thought. We went down a little bit of a rabbit hole here, and trying to get back on what we were. Let's see, where did we go back from? Well, the whole thing with with portals, for instance, is, and let me tell you, I might as well get into some really awesome things that happened to me.
Yeah, go ahead. We got about 20 minutes left. Go.
Oh, okay. The one thing that one of the first things that happened was on September 12th of 2014, or September 11th, was we went up the trail, and I was with Barb Troop, and we have a camping group, and we were looking at a snap that was obviously not caused by a human. She had her camera on. She saw something drop down. I kind of heard her say, "Oh my God, what was that?" So she saw something big and black running. So she caught it on the iPod, and then she turned around and she recorded, didn't think nothing of it. She took it down to the camp and put it on her Surface, Microsoft Surface, so she could get a better view of whatever. Next thing you know, we were hearing her saying, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. This is, what's the matter? I said, this only happens in sci-fi movies. And so we took a look, and best we could see this, like the Predator, just like something we've seen out of the Predator movie, jumping down from the tree, a translucent being, and then taking off. And that made the internet run. You can actually see that if you put Barb, B-A-R-B, cloaking Bigfoot. You search that on YouTube, you'll find it. So if the listeners want to check that out, that's well worth checking out that particular thing.
Well, I do believe that there is things like that. I do believe in UFOs, and I do believe in aliens, and I do believe in a lot of strange things a lot of people don't believe in. But I do think that, they could be cloaking themselves. And,
they are.
Yeah.
We established that already with not only that, but some of the other things happened. The other thing that happened was the very next day, I was so stoked from that experience. Someone said something about if you leave all the recording equipment behind, you could have a great experience. So I wanted to really go back up in this area. And my intention was to shake hands with the Bigfoot. I didn't know. So I go back in this special, strange little area, and the wind's kicking up, and all of a sudden I'm feeling really strange, really euphoric. And walking down the side of this trail, I'm just feeling like I have this huge appreciation for everything. So I come back around, and then as I'm doing so, I'm looking over the side of the sun that's shining down between the trees, and I'm seeing this really bright reflection of orange and red, and I'm thinking, what the heck? I thought it was a piece of metal or something. It was really, how it reflects off metal or like chrome or whatever. And I get closer to it, and it was nothing like that. It was actually a light structure, like lightsabers from, the Star Wars movie. It looked like that. It was pulsating red-orange beams of light that looked like Z's, like the letter Z, but four of them forming a rectangular box 3 feet up in the air. And the thing was blazing. So I'm walking past this thing. I'm 15 feet away from it, staring straight at it, and I'm no fear, but obviously I'm not stupid enough to walk up to it and end up going on a one-way trip to God knows where, not even sure what it is, a portal, or maybe I'm just seeing the visible part of a bigger ship. So I'm walking past it. I don't want to take my eyes off of it, and then I turn for a second and look, and all of a sudden I see a giant beach ball-sized orb that's glowing with electrical red or electrical orange around it, and translucent as well. The thing is floating towards the Z structure and goes to the one end of the rectangular box and inserts itself into it. And the thing pulses a few times, and you slowly see it fade away. This lasted an entire minute in broad daylight.
Well, at that point, I'd tell you what I'd be doing. I'd be turning around and going, hey, I think I saw enough.
No.
So you're braver than me.
It wasn't brave. It's just I just felt the sense of there was nothing wrong. And I think because of that, here's the important lesson. Because I didn't show that fear, whatever decided I needed to see a lot more. And then the following month is when the big guy between the tree with the mirage black showed up. And then a year later, and I think there's a portal, actually 2 weeks after that event where I saw the light structure, I went back out to look for physical evidence. I found it. It was in the form of a rectangle burned into the ground. And in other words, it was seared. It was almost like somebody took a laser beam and seared off the rock, the roots, everything down to about an inch or two underneath the land, and then made a perfect triangle cut into it. So I don't know if it was because that was part of a ship that I couldn't see that had its legs down on it, or that wherever it went into a different dimension or transported somewhere else, it took part of the earth with it. Okay? So that was...
I got to say something. One of my guests, back in the early 70s, in the town he was at, they had a report of a UFO landing in the hospital parking lot. And I guess a lot of the people of the town went there, and the UFO was already gone. But it left like about a 30-foot round circle, and it burnt into the asphalt. But it was kind of unique. It was like if you took like mercury and poured mercury, all around it, like droplets of mercury metal. Mm-hmm. And that was left there. And
the mercury?
Yeah, like little mercury droplets. Did you see anything funny like that there around what you saw?
No, I tried to use a Geiger count. I couldn't get any kind of readings from that. But it's interesting you mentioned some mercury, because some of the reports of how anti-gravity works has to do with spinning mercury that goes around at a certain speed.
Right.
Okay, you probably heard that too.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I thought that was interesting you said that. But the incidents haven't stopped here. There's been an acceleration of contact, and now it's becoming over the top for me. It's involving telepathy a little bit, and not I don't hear voices in my head. I'm going to say that right up. I'm not like a crazy person that's trying to say any of this. I do a lot of logical research. I'm actually an IT professional for many years, so I have a logical bend to everything I'm doing, but I also have high intuition, you know. And now I'm able to literally kind of know where they're at. You know, when I take pictures, or kind of know if they're in a certain place. I just know. It's just a sense of knowing. Okay, and but I've had all sorts of incidents happen. I had one time, about a year later, I had a shape-shifting entity that I was talking about. I decided to go on YouTube and tell about my story about the portal and the orb that I saw, the light beams.
Right.
So I retraced my steps on the same trail and took a camera for YouTube, telling the story. So I posted it because I went through the whole area and showed it on the camera. So all of a sudden, a viewer comes back and says, "Well, what about the big black thing that was standing behind the tree watching you while you were telling that?" So I go back and review my video, and all of a sudden it's like it starts out like nothing, and then it kind of slowly becomes visible and looks like an ET, and then it changes shape, and then it starts looking like a Bigfoot. It's shape-shifting through the whole thing, and I actually have that on my blog site too. So, and I decided to post all the links and everything, and even the pictures to the little people and everything. So, even though we were going to close this out, at some point in a few minutes, the listeners would really benefit just going to the planetsasquatch.com site and actually just go into that first article that shows up there, because it's talking about the Bigfoot and the little people. And I tell the story about that, and it goes through and how each of those things have progressed. And so it just seems like at first it was the Bigfoots that were showing up all the time. And then, of course, in 2015, in that same area with the portal, I turned around and took a picture. I walked through there and turned around and took a picture again. And I caught the image of two beings. One kind of looked like Bigfoot, but the other one was a strange-looking being with a robe on, about 6 foot tall, had a pleated top on, kind of a weird rounded collar robe, and it was not a Bigfoot. It was definitely ET-ish looking, or some extraterrestrial being.
Now, Samantha, what I have, my feeling is, how can I say this? I had a guest on that, I'll make it real quick, that he was laying in his bed. His bedroom curtains were open. He saw like 4 or 5 ETs, grays, walking towards his bedroom window. And they kind of told him, to put your head down, there's nothing to worry about, go to sleep. And then, he woke up in the morning and, he is a very much outdoors person. I think he worked with the Fish and Wildlife Department or whatever in his state. So he was out in the woods all the time. And all of a sudden he started seeing owls like crazy. I mean, like everywhere he would go out in the woods, there would be owls. I kind of have a feeling sometimes what they might do, and this is my feeling, okay, and I could be 180% the opposite direction of what it is maybe they implant in your mind that, like in this case, he was seeing owls, but maybe he wasn't actually, they weren't owls, they could have been aliens. Maybe they've gotten in the past, going back from hundreds of years ago with, the Indians and whatever, something that maybe they used to maybe scare them for some reason, to keep them out of an area or whatever. So they kind of figured, maybe if we go into this form like this of a Bigfoot creature, in between a bear and a human type of thing, that they could use that maybe to, keep people from staying out of their area, and maybe it could be ETs, out in the woods. Maybe they have a base. Maybe they're, just coming down and checking on
what's
things.
Funny about?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
What's funny about this spot is that it's public access. It's a trail. People use it all the time. They walk up and down it, and they have no idea what's going on there. It's just that certain ones of us know. And in the event of the ET person, let's say I don't think they were shape-shifting this particular one because I caught a picture of it. I have it on a photograph.